And in the body of Christ, we're here for each other, but there's some stuff that only the source can satisfy, right?
Hey, welcome to Ascend the Hill with Jeremy Austill. I'm Jonathan. This is Pastor Jeremy. How's it going? Happy Thanksgiving or post-Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's post-Thanksgiving. Christmas season is upon us.
Yes.
And I am here for it completely and totally.
Yeah. Christmas tree up now?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, our Thanksgiving was a little different than it's been in years past. For the last 10 years, we had led youth convention, which happened the Tuesday, Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So our whole week was consumed with that, and we really didn't do anything Christmas-wise until Black Friday, just trying to survive. But this year, kids went to youth convention. I went and got a Christmas tree on Wednesday, had it all up, lights on it. I had the like hunting bungee cord attached to it because we do a live tree. And so I've learned with live trees, they're not always the most stable because one time I had one fall at like 2 a.m.
Oh, gosh.
So now I bungee it. So I got all that done, got the Christmas tree on the banister on the balcony set. I got Christmas trees in the kids' room. I did all of that so that when they got back from youth convention and we got done eating Thanksgiving, it was all things Christmas. So Thanksgiving night, we changed all our decorations over. Friday, I decorated with lights and inflatables outside. So we're all in now.
Yeah. And speaking of all in on Christmas, we're going to be doing some fun Christmas trivia today.
Okay.
And some of these questions I thought were really interesting. Some of them I didn't know. Some of them you might know. And some of them are just fun.
I have a feeling I'm going to get stumped.
Some of them probably, because there were a few where I was like, I had no idea about any of this. So, first question. How many ghosts show up in A Christmas Carol?
Ghosts. Christmas pie. I mean, the seems like the answer is 3, but I'm not. I feel like this might be a trick question.
It's 4.
Okay.
Because you have the 3 Christmas
and then Marley.
Ghosts. Yep.
Marley. So he's the 4th.
Yep.
So yeah, past, present, future, and then Marley. So 4. Yep. I'm wrong. 0 for 1.
The movie Miracle on 34th Street is based on a real life department store. What is it?
Not J.C. Penney.
No.
Goldman Sachs. I don't know.
Macy's.
Yeah. Wow. Miracle on 34th Street. I think I have watched parts of that. I don't know that I've ever sat down and watched the entirety of that movie.
Really?
Yeah. I used to not like older movies like that, but now, of course, It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite Christmas movie. So
yeah. I think I only ever saw it in school. Like they had us watch it in school.
Yeah.
In what modern day country was Saint Nick born?
Modern day country, Saint Nick. I want to say, I don't think it's France, maybe Germany. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's a little southeast of there. It's Turkey.
Turkey. Okay.
Turkey. I didn't realize. I thought it was something like Germany or Eastern Europe or something.
Yeah.
But which country started the tradition of putting up a Christmas tree?
Let me back up. It would make sense because the early church, it has strong roots in Turkey, what we would know as modern day Turkey. I wasn't thinking. All right. So what was your next question?
Which country started the tradition of putting up a Christmas tree?
My gosh.
Hint, you already said it.
Okay. Germany.
Yep. Nailed it. Look at
that. with an assist.
This one surprised me. What was the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time, according to the internet?
The highest grossing Christmas movie of all time. Home Alone?
It is.
All right. There we go.
I didn't even realize that. How many gifts in total are given on the 12 days of Christmas?
Man, we're clipping through these. So how many gifts? So 12 plus 11 is 33 plus 10 is 43, plus 9 is 52, plus 8
He's doing
is
all
60,
the math.
plus 7 is 67, plus 6 is 73, plus 5 is 78, plus 4 is 82, plus 3 is 85, plus 2 is 87, plus 1 is 88. Is that right?
Not even close.
Are you serious?
364. 364.
Because on each day they gave
repeats.
all of them. My gosh. I think that's a trick question.
Yeah, that one was.
I think that's no.
Someone calculate it for us. Put it in the comments.
I did all that math, and I didn't waste my time doing it. I'm right. They're wrong.
Which fairy tale was the first gingerbread houses inspired by?
Hansel and Gretel.
It is. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even know that one.
I mean, I don't know why. I thought that sounds right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This one may be surprising too, but what is the best-selling Christmas song ever?
Best-selling Christmas song ever. Jingle Bells?
No.
Okay.
A few more guesses.
Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas?
Nope.
Silent Night?
Nope.
Oh Holy Night?
No.
Jingle Bell Rock?
Nope.
Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer?
It's sang by Bing Crosby.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Deck the Halls? You just might as well get
White Christmas.
White Christmas. Really?
Yep.
Man, it's a good song, but I mean, I want to go back to the gingerbread question because gingerbread houses are a lie. Here's why they're a lie. They're impossible to construct.
They're really hard.
I mean, they are a lie because you get this picture on the box and it looks
immaculate.
They use super glue.
Yeah.
There's no way they did it with just the frosting. And because I will put so much of that frosting, because we tried these for years with the kids. And we even bought the ones that have like the plastic, where you can kind of set the wall down in a little bit of a depression on the plastic. But it does not hold. Like, it is a straight up lie.
Nope.
And then, like, you can't get, I mean, it just looks like a hot mess. Like, you can't get the frosting to, like, smooth out.
Yeah.
They are a lie.
Have you ever tried to bake your own gingerbread to make a gingerbread house?
No.
Oh, it's terrible. Terrible decision. You
really?
Just get the pre-made ones because you can never get them like, you need the pre-made ones because they're as close to straight as possible.
Yeah. So
if you bake them yourself, they warp, they get curvy, and so it's just
it doesn't matter if you buy the new ones. I mean, they look warped by the time we're done with them. I mean, if there's anybody out there listening that can make a legit good gingerbread house that looks anything like what they look like on the box, I don't believe it. I don't even know if they would be telling the truth.
If you can, email creative@cornerstonenashville.org. We'd love to see your immaculate gingerbread house because it is very difficult. Though they have themed ones now that I kind of enjoy, like Frosty or Rudolph.
Oh, yeah. Probably got Star
Peanuts.
Wars at this point.
I'm pretty sure they do, yeah.
I mean, but it won't matter.
Yeah.
Because they're going to look like trash when you're done with them. So.
It'll look like the Death Star blew it up.
And just side note, too, it looks so delectable, but every single item in that box tastes disgusting.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
Well, and I don't think you can eat some of it. Like, you could probably eat it, but it'll make you sick.
I don't know. But, like, the gingerbread's no good. The frosting is gross. The little, quote, candies that are in there are like, bootleg. They're not legit. So, I am out on gingerbread houses. Don't come at me with one of those.
I need to see the gingerbread houses at Grand Floridian, though, at Disney World. I've never seen those. No, they do their huge displays every year.
They ain't real.
Oh yeah,
it's like it's like when you see a McDonald's commercial or a Burger King commercial, and then you see and that burger looks so incredible, and it never looks like that.
No, and they
it's
definitely
because they're not even
fabricated.
They're not even using real ketchup, or real mayonnaise,
meat or buns or anything.
None of that's real. It's all airbrushed, and it's just the same deal with the. Sorry, I got on a rant here. I can't. The gingerbread houses.
Leave the gingerbread at home. Don't bring it to church.
Gingerbread houses have been like a source of my sanctification, being at risk, trying to make them with the kids. And then again, I've said the last couple of Sundays, I'm a touch of a control freak. So I'm trying to get them to do it right. And so I'll be like, let me do it. And I can't do it. The walls are falling down. And I'm just, anyway.
What popular Christmas song was actually written for Thanksgiving?
For Thanksgiving?
Yeah. According to the internet, there's an asterisk on all of these.
You probably got that from Wikipedia. For Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was originally written for Thanksgiving.
I mean, chestnuts roast on an open fire, Jack Frost. I don't know.
Jingle bells.
Really?
Yeah. Which I guess, does it ever say Christmas in Jingle Bells? Does it ever say, mention Christmas?
No, it's just dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Over the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, nope, it doesn't mention Christmas.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
My gosh. And then everybody just got regaled with my rap version of Jingle Bells right there. So,
oh my gosh. And the last question is, what was the first company that used Santa Claus in advertising?
Sears. J.C. Penney.
No, it's not a department store.
Really?
It's like a
Coke.
Yep, it's Coke.
Yep. Yep. I should have. Yep.
I don't know.
Too soon. I didn't think about it.
I don't know why though, but sometimes or every year, like I feel like the Coke making the Christmas version of their cans or their bottles makes it taste better. It doesn't. I know it doesn't, but it just makes it more festive, so it makes it more fun.
I'll tell you what I'm here for: the Christmas commercials.
Oh yeah.
We DVR pretty much anything and everything we watch, or we watch streaming stuff. So we don't experience as many commercials as we used to. But like I'll be fast forwarding through the DVR, and I'm a sucker for a good Christmas commercial.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Kroger had one last year, I think it was. I'm like, Kroger came strong. They had me weepy. Anyway.
Well, we've past 2 weeks. We took a break last week because of Thanksgiving, and hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. And hopefully everyone enjoyed those trivia questions. If you knew what they were, great. If you didn't, join the club. Didn't know most of them, but we've been talking about the woman of Shunem for the past couple of weeks in our series Hospitable, and we just ended this past week. And I really thought it was interesting how, if you look at a lot of miracles that involve quote unquote everyday people or just people in general in the Bible, there's quite a few that are centered around this miracle of being barren and then giving a child. You have Abraham, woman of Shunem. You have Hannah with Samuel.
Right.
You have John the Baptist's parents, I believe. Right. And I was wondering, I was like, why is that? Or is this even, because this is the Old Testament, is this even remotely connected in some way allegorically or in an allusion to Abraham or like the promise of the Lord? Or is it just a thing that, is it just because childbearing was an important thing in that culture more so than today, it seems like?
Probably a little bit of all of that. I think it's possible that some of that was prophetic foreshadowing, in the Old Testament of what was to come, Jesus being miraculously conceived. So there's probably a degree of foreshadowing of like, there is a pattern all the way back to Abraham of God involving himself in conception and a promised child being born. And so I think when you get to the moment of Mary and Jesus, like there's already been evidence that when God wants to do a thing in the earth, he will get involved to that degree.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably part of it. I do think some of it is generational, as in we've said this at Cornerstone over the last year numerous times. God is generationally inclined.
Yeah,
He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God cares about generational perpetuation of his name, his glory, his honor, and his goodness. And so someone not being able to have a child, especially if they are godly people who would raise their kid to bring him glory. And then in like an instance like Samuel, which God had really specific purposes for, God will, it seems in the Old Testament especially, but even some in the New Testament, God will get involved to make sure that generational lineage keeps going.
Yeah.
So that's certainly a possibility as well. And then the layer that we touched on some, I think a couple of weeks ago, just the significance of bearing children. We live in an era where the amount of children people are having is decreasing.
Yeah.
Because what we value in life has changed.
Yeah.
What we want of our life has changed. And it almost seems with as many options that we have to find fulfillment, to find satisfaction, to find purpose, to find happiness, joy, delight, maybe in the human psyche, the need for a child to accommodate those other needs isn't as strong.
Yeah.
Whereas you look back at an era where that was almost, number one, traced back to the call of God, the command of God in the beginning of Genesis: be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, so I think some of it is just God knowing, intrinsically what He wired into people, that deep longing for children, that sense of purpose and meaning and identity that was attached to children and your family. And so He said, I'm getting involved with that. And I love it even all the way to, you mentioned Abraham. God started that covenant with a man and brought him a son. He didn't start it with an already established people group
Yeah.
and say, like, I'm just going to pick this people group that's already rolling along.
Yeah.
I am going to, at the roots, make a covenant with a person, and then through conception and through childbirth, I am going to build on the covenant, right? And so even God's relationship with Israel is intrinsically tied to their childbearing, that they are having kids and expanding the covenant that He made with them, right?
Yeah.
So I think all of those play a part, right?
Yeah. And she, like, it's interesting because when he brings it up to her, it's almost like she was already, like, she had already been wanting that, but because of what she knew that she couldn't,
Mm-hmm.
it was like a dormant dream in her heart. And then you know, he does it for her, and all this, crazy stuff happens. Like, it's wild that you would not be able to, and miracles like that happen today, where people go through infertility, and then the Lord
Yes.
brings about the miracle. And so, like, of miracles that you see in life, that's probably up there as far as like our perspective of it. It's pretty wild going from, hey, you just can't, all of
Yeah.
a sudden you can. And it's like, obviously, like, maybe people could make up or explain away certain miracles that they see, but like, it's really hard to say when a doctor says you can't do this and then the Lord makes it happen. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
I literally have no control over being able to make that a good thing, like a real thing, a
Right.
reality or not,
Well, and there's just a beauty in that. You mentioned infertility, couples that struggle with infertility and then they have a child. There's a beauty in that, um, because there is a human life attached to that miracle.
Yeah.
And attached to that human life are God's plans, His purposes, like intricate details that God is wanting to engage the earth with through this person.
Mm-hmm.
So when God gives that kind of miracle, even in 2023, it has a really special weight, because now there is literally the future of the planet
Yeah.
has now been altered, because of this miracle.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that doesn't mean every kid turns into Billy Graham. I mean,
Yeah.
most all of them turn into pretty regular folks like us,
Yeah.
right? But nevertheless, like that kid that was born, conceived miraculously, that is, evidence of God's handiwork and God's miracle work and power. That kid goes and touches a million other lives, it feels like,
Yeah.
and so one miracle of conception and birth has a ripple effect in the earth that is immeasurable.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting is after she receives a miracle, she has her son. Of course, her son dies,
Mm-hmm.
basically. I can't imagine what that was like for her, because the scripture kind of gives us an insight of, she was obviously like devastated. But then it was so interesting when she's running up to Elisha and gets stopped by Gehazi, and we
Mm-hmm.
touched on it a little bit, but she basically just lies to him.
Yeah.
Like, he asks, "How is it?" She's like, "No, everything's fine," and then she runs past him, and it's like, I don't know if it was like, you kind of dive into Gehazi's backstory, but I don't know what it was in that moment where she was like, "I'm not telling you,"
Yeah. I think what I talked about in the message was there was something in her that perceived something in him, that being open and honest and transparent wasn't the best thing to do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to learn that in life, that, there's some people you don't give full disclosure with. There's some
Yeah.
people that you don't open up to. There's some people that you aren't fully transparent with.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you're casting them off as some, hellacious deviant.
Yeah.
It just means like what I need or what's happening in my life, I can't really trust you with it,
Yeah.
right? For whatever reason. I also think there was a layer for her of, I didn't come for you.
Mm.
And I'm not getting into this with you because I don't want you to try to impede me from getting to the prophet. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to him, and really this conversation that me and you are having is irrelevant
Yeah.
because like I'm not stopping at you.
Yeah.
There's no sense of me getting into this. I mean, have you ever been in conversation with somebody and you're just like, in your mind, you're like, I'm not getting into this.
Yep.
There's no need.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no point in getting into this.
Yeah.
Like, I got, and so I think there was that layer in her of like, I'm not getting hung up with you. And I'm not even risking that you're going to try to satisfy me or satiate me in some way. I'm just pushing right on past you and getting to the source.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for that. And I've talked, I didn't really touch on it much on Sunday, but that, Gehazi was a servant of the prophet, and I mean, there's some stuff that your preacher can't help you with. There's some stuff your life group leader can't help you with. I mean, and in the body of Christ, we're here for each other, but there's some stuff that only the source can satisfy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't get into this with all of y'all. I've got to bear my soul to the source.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder too, because it doesn't seem like Gehazi was always in that, like, wasn't in the room with Elisha when he was staying at her place, right?
I mean, he was around, because you'll see that they had conversation. Whenever he said, what can we do to bless her? That was him and Gehazi having a conversation
I guess
in
you're
the
right.
room.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And so Gehazi was kind of always around.
Yeah.
But he, he wasn't it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also thought it was interesting too, because we talked about, Gehazi's response.
And by the way, usually I like listen to pronunciation of how do you pronounce it. I never listen. It might be Gehazi, it might be Gehazi, it might be Gehazi. I don't know, but I just thought Gehazi felt right.
Yeah,
so
it sounds right to me. Well, and what's interesting, you also talked about the husband's response, and was some of his like you talked about some of the background to his response, but it also seemed like maybe some of his response was just born out of tradition, because he mentioned specifically festivals and Sabbath. So what in his head was he just stuck in? Why would you? But it's not almost like a type A kind of thing. Why would we do that? It's not a festival or a Sabbath.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I definitely. These are the only mentions of him, like that he's old.
Yeah.
And basically he's incapable of helping with the miracle. He's actually impeding what she really wants and needs in life.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that mention. You have the mention of like the son's helping him. The son's head hurts, and he's like, send him to his mom.
Yeah.
He doesn't even take the boy to the mom. He sends him with a servant, right?
Yeah.
And then he has this conversation with his wife of, why are you wanting to go? So in general, I think he's aloof.
Mm.
She's the one that said, let's build the room.
Yeah.
She's the one that invited him to dinner. Like, she is the person in this that really has faith.
Mm.
Maybe you could, using that language you said of tradition, maybe he is basically that nominal Christian person, that person that has a variance of religion.
Yeah.
But they don't have much spirituality. They don't have much press, as it pertains to knowing God. They just kind of have a general sense of rules and regulations, and then they're just doing their life.
Yeah.
And we have those people in our world. And I think I said it on Sunday, it's important to not be spiritually elite.
Yeah.
To not allow yourself to become prideful, but at the same time to acknowledge, like, not everybody gets it. Now, I pray that they do, but I have to deal in a world oftentimes where people don't get me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be okay with that. And I just got to kind of keep pressing in past the lack of understanding, or pressing in, in the midst of being misunderstood, because to some degree she's being misunderstood by her husband here. But I also, think about him saying, the Sabbath, the festival, and I hear her just pushing anyway. And there is a difference between the person who says, well, it's Sunday,
Yeah.
It's versus the person that says, like, I don't live within those compartmentalized regions of Christianity and my faith.
Yeah.
My faith is pervasive every day, including the Sabbath. It's pervasive every day, including the festival days. I know you've kind of relegated your faith to certain compartments, but
Yeah.
mine is like overflowing into every part of my life. So much so that I know that it might not quote be the right time, but I can still go on a pursuit and get a hold of him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And yeah, that is interesting too. Cause yeah, even growing up, like there were some times where I was like, but it's not Sunday,
yeah,
and it's like, well, that's not really the point, Yeah, it's not Sunday, but you can still do stuff today,
yeah. And I've heard preachers, pastors, ministers, and I'm sure I've done this plenty myself to kind of like, with a degree of chastisement of like, just it's more than Sunday. It's more, and that is all true.
Mhm.
I've said this a couple of the Sundays. Like, I try to live with the belief that everybody in the room is there because they want God.
Yeah.
And so that's literally my posture every Sunday is not like, okay, this percentage of the people here, they're just checking off their Sunday box. Like, I
Yeah.
don't live that way. I live with the belief of like, if you went through the effort to be here, you want God.
Yeah.
So it's my job to it's my job to stir up that part of you that wants him.
Yeah.
It's my job to kind of provoke whatever is in you that got you in the room.
Mhm.
That thing, like, I want to stir that up. I don't want to like reprimand you and chastise you and call you the husband in
Yeah.
this instance. I believe everybody in this room, is the woman of Shunem
Yeah.
or has the capacity to be the woman of Shunem. That woman, so to speak, or man, whatever, is in there somewhere. That pursuer, that hospitable person, that determined, resolute, like, I want to know God, I want to commune with God, I want to be with that person's in there somewhere. I want to spend every Sunday trying to pull that person to the very forefront of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people have a little bit more effort to get there on a Sunday, so that they really want to be there on a Sunday. They have
Yes.
kids, they a lot of scheduling
And it's not for the
things.
coffee. I mean,
Yeah.
you can make a pot of coffee at home. I mean, I think
Yeah.
sometimes in church, I just feel like sometimes, spiritual leaders in the body are too quick to assume the worst. They're
Mhm.
too quick to chastise. They're too quick to, just kind of go to the lowest common base level instead of really thinking through. And these people came today.
Yeah.
There's something in there.
Yeah.
And there's varying degrees of that. Some people are already full-fledged living in this hospitable posture of life.
Yeah.
But my suspicion is everybody that is in that room wants to.
Yeah.
It's how do we get there?
And some of them, people show up maybe sometimes just because it's what they do, but there's something that's been dormant, like the woman
Yeah.
who had a dream for a kid, but that's been dormant, but she was still hospitable. And even though they're not, you kind of hit on this point too in the sermon series, but they're not totally like expecting. They're just
Yeah.
like, I'm still here, even though I'm struggling through this
Yeah.
because this promise isn't happening, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
And they're maybe in the background of their heart, they're just like, maybe today will be the day.
Yeah. Well, and their presence, a person's presence in that sanctuary, in a life group, in our youth ministry, a person's presence, I was going to say in the kids ministry, but most of the time they're made to be there, the children, but their presence indicates that there is still this hope for his presence, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want to hone in on that core desire that's in there. And again, for some people, that desire is just like oozing out of their pores. It's everything. For others, it's in there. Maybe it's been piled on because of disappointment,
Mm-hmm.
because they hoped and expected and it didn't happen. And that desire for presence has kind of gotten buried under the weight of everything, but man, it's still in there. Let's see if we can't dig it out. The woman, I love this account. I love her story. And
Yeah.
there's another part of the story. We're just not going to do it, you know,
Yeah.
but later on there's a famine. She has to leave the town. She has to leave the area. She leaves. When she leaves, somebody gives away all her stuff, you know. She comes back and, you know, the story is told to leadership about her, to the king, about her faithfulness and her hospitality to Elisha and the miracle that happened. And so they give her everything back.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
that it's even cool. Like your testimony,
Yeah.
you know, can recover things that have been lost. But anyway, I just didn't want to spend another week on it. We need to get into Christmas.
Yeah. Well, and we're running out of time, but as we wrap up, kind of the last thought in hearing this story, you dive pretty deep into the method that Elisha used to resuscitate the boy, to bring the boy back to
Mhm.
life, or the miracle that the Lord used through Elisha. But it's interesting that Elisha, like, it's such a unique way that he goes about doing. He doesn't just go up to the boy, and say, "Hey, raise up."
Yeah.
He does this whole thing, and it seems like most of his miracles, actually, I'm pretty sure all of them, and even a lot of the miracles of the Bible, they're not. I don't know that there's one that's like the same.
Yeah, they're
There's
they're
not
very
like
different. Yeah.
yeah, there's not like a input A, input B equals C. As far as like, he doesn't do this same exact thing with someone else. Oh, this worked on someone else, we're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
It's like very unique for a situation.
Well, and you, I think, gave a really important key in the middle of you communicating that. We just have a real tendency as humans to want guarantees. So we want 1 + 1 to always equal 2.
Yeah.
So if you will give us a methodology that guarantees results,
Yeah.
if we will make an idol out of the methodology, like the methodology will become the thing that we center our life on.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the reasons you have the miracles of the Bible, even Jesus, that did it differently each time, so many different ways of miracles manifesting, is so that we could not pigeonhole a methodology and make an idol about it, of it, and build our life around it, and then try to use that methodology to control God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you go all the way back to the pagan society that the Jewish people were in the middle of. Like they tried to control their gods,
Yeah.
to get their gods to do what they wanted them to do, right? You know, if we do this, this, and this, our God will give us this, like a, you know, it's just like a guaranteed deal.
Yeah.
And so I think the reason the method of miracles changes is because it is about a person,
Yeah.
not the method. It is about the Lord. It's not about a guaranteed, you know, set of circumstances,
Yeah.
right? And so now on the flip side, I mean, as a human, the follow-up question is, well, like, why don't you just give us a 1 + 1 = 2? That way we can always perform miracles, and we can do it, and then everybody would get saved.
Yeah.
And I don't even have a great answer for that. You know, my immediate question was like, well, would they really get saved?
Yeah.
Or would they, again, be enamored with the methodology,
Yeah.
you know, because we like results. And so anyway, that's,
Yeah.
but him laying, you know, mouth to mouth, eye to eye, hand to hand was certainly an unusual way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think there was, I mean, you could talk about generational prophetic implications. Like, we're going to lay on a younger generation, and, you know, we're going to, as an older generation, we're going to give them life. We're going to give them word. We're going to give them vision. We're going to give them perspective. We're going to, you know, give them effectiveness tools and equip them to, you know, it could be a really cool next generation message too.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we just went through Hospitable, just went through Encounters, and we're about to encounter some Christmas here this coming week. Do you have a brief little snippet for the upcoming sermon series before we sign off?
Yeah, so we're going to do Christmas songs, I think
Ooh.
4 weeks, and I'm just picked several different Christmas songs that I'll use as kind of a template to preach, but obviously we're preaching word, we're preaching scripture. But those different songs will just just kind of give me a different area of focus. So this week we're talking about the little drummer boy.
Oh,
I also want to remind everyone that we are receiving our Cornerstone Christmas Kingdom Builders offering
yes.
this Sunday. And just so everybody's aware, like we will do our normal tithes and offerings.
Mhm.
I'll preach a message, then we will receive that special offering at the end. We are giving to our men's and women's prison ministry here to provide a nice Christmas experience for them in the prisons, which, by the way, I mean, we're seeing almost weekly people get saved and baptized in our prisons because of faithful men and women out of the church of Cornerstone that go in, that preach the gospel, that show love and compassion. And I love that that's what happens on the regular. So we're also giving to, our plan is to be able to send a nice financial gift to our 13 missionaries that we support. And we are going to support the Bridge Ministry, which feeds the impoverished and homeless, and they provide gifts, and they just do phenomenal ministry to people in our community that are struggling, that are dealing with some version of lack. And so we're going to come alongside and partner with them. And then Convoy of Hope, we're going to give generously, and we're going to give to Convoy of Hope numerous times throughout 2024 that's coming. Last thing I want to say is I've talked about it, I think on like a Wednesday night. I haven't said a whole lot about it, but we are going to start an all-church fast on January the 7th, and it'll go from January 7th through January 28th. So 21 days, all-church fast. I can't make anybody fast, nor would I try to be that dictatorial and controlling, right? But we are going to call the church to a fast. We'll talk about different methods and ways of fasting, and I really believe I'm personally believing for a few things supernaturally and spiritually to take place in our church as a result. Some of it cultural, some of it, healing of old things, some of it like God opening doors and beginning to launch new things. So just kind of putting it on everybody's radar. It's coming.
Awesome. Well, look for the new sermon series. Be prepared for the fast that comes in January. And we just hope it's a great Christmas season for you. And we'll see y'all Sunday for our Cornerstone Kingdom Builders Christmas offering that we're taking.
Mouthful.
See y'all.